Hello and welcome to a Let's Play of Total Annihilation. As seen in the intro, this is basically a total war between two robot factions, a real-time strategy game. One of the better ones, I'd say. It's hard to say why though. It was a very unique style of real-time strategy game when it came out. There were naturally others, but not quite like this. This is it's hard for me to pinpoint out why exactly this was at least different in a couple of fronts. It's a solid real-time strategy game in its own. Good music, good controls, nice ways to automate, interesting units, varied units, all that good stuff. The gameplay is very good, but it was also something that I haven't, at least at point, seen all that much. A lot of real-time strategy games, it's hard to put it into words. This has a lot of movement and fluidity in the unit movements. There's a lot of different variation in what type of shots you are fired. You don't automatically hit with them. They try to fire at the target as best they can, your units, but it takes maneuvering and sort of planning to get the enemy into a position where your shots will mostly hit, while you can evade his shots. It's hard to explain. It'll come clear. One of the more easiest to explain aspect was though that if you ever played a real-time strategy game and you sort of wa wanted to make your dream come true unit that had all the cool stuff and strong points, Total Annihilation sort of has a unit progression with new units that sort of went that way. I mean, bigger, more powerful units that had ridiculous abilities. They were really fucking hard to do. I mean, construct, especially with the expansion pack. I think you have something like it takes an insane amount of resources and time to build. Is almost indestructible and has multiple weapon systems that constantly shoot at your enemies. Or if you had a sort of a lot of games has sort of an artillery unit that fires on the other side of the screen. You got here. You also started with something like that. Then you had a huge ass artillery that fires on the other side of the goddamn map. Then you had abilities or buildings that allowed your such cannons to automatically fire on radar targets that they spot. You don't even need to see the unit. As long as your radar spots it, it automatically fires on it. And then things get escalated further. So instead of having a slow firing cannon like that, you have a sort of a Gatling cannon setup, the artillery setup that fires almost constantly on the other side of the map with ridiculously powerful cannons that obliterate everything, and you don't even have to target it because the automatic combat control systems fires on all the radar targets within range. So it's that kind of escalation that fits this game quite well, and it's not. I wouldn't say it's overpowered, although it is overpowered because it does things escalate on all fronts. So there are also things you can do to sort of oppose that. But yeah, let's get started though. We want to talk about the game when you can play it. New campaign. You can play from one side or another. Arm or core. Their robot units are a bit different. They have the same units for the same general purpose, but they're not quite the same. For example, let's sort of a quick, cheap easily destroyable robot attack unit. Fast, short range, has a rapid fire weapon, that sort of thing. A core equivalent of that is something that has a laser, short range laser that has a little bit of a delay between shots. ARM has a sort of a little machine gun robot that fires a constant barrage of shots, that sort of thing. So although they are both occupy the same position in the force and sort of serve the same purpose, they're still different. They're not quite the same, and what because of that different behavior, there can be differences in how you should be using the unit or what it can get away with. Frankly, I don't recall what units you get on the other side, so I'm just going to pick ARM and let's start the campaign. Medium difficulty. Yeah.
It was near the end of the war, and after 4,000 years the Core Empire stood on the brink of final victory over the ARM rebellion. ARM forces throughout the galaxy were overwhelmed by the superior numbers and firepower of the ruthless Core. Their bid for freedom nearly lost. The battered remnants of the ARM military clustered in the single star system which contained its home world, Empyreon. Empyreon too would have fallen were it not for the skill of the sole surviving ARM commander. A shrewd tactician and resourceful warrior, the commander took advantage of the system's relative isolation and was able to keep the enemy at bay. ARM troops weathered wave after wave of Core attacks, and it seemed as though they would be able to do so indefinitely. The stalemate ended when a small Core insertion team managed to slip through planetary defenses and establish the last of a chain of space-folding galactic gates which led directly to the surface of Empyreon. A decoy engagement was staged at the ARM outpost on the outer planet of Calibran in order to lure the commander away from Empyreon, leaving the planet virtually defenseless. The invasion began.
Okay, a few notes. There is indication of wind speed and gravity. I'm not sure what the gravity means. It might have an actual effect. I know wind speed does. It's at least there's a item or a build structure called wind turbine or something like that. So the wind speed on the planet determines how much energy you can produce from those wind turbines. If the wind speed is something like, I'm not sure what it means, there's no unit, but it's all around 300. I don't think that's basically worthless. You have to have something around at least a value of 1,000 or more before it becomes truly worthwhile to produce. Or wind turbines is a good way to produce a lot of energy. I think you have solar collectors too, and as things progress you can get something like even reactors too, but there's sort of a progression to that. You just can't go to the reactors first. Even if you could, it would take so much materials and energy to produce that if you don't have the more basic infrastructure in place, you'll never finish it. Anyway, this mission, establish a guard detail around the galactic gate. So a teleportation gate, basically. Core agents have somehow breached our security and are on Empyreon. Worse yet, the commander is off planet and Core waits in ambush near the gate through which he must return. Take your units to the gate and secure it. Our commander must return safely or we are lost. Gate is located in the crater to the north. Expect Core patrols. They reference the commander, and it's not the rank here, really. It is a special unit. Commanders are sort of the core of your army. Like in more normal RTS games, you have the construction yard. Here, that sort of functionality is all rolled up into a single robotic unit. It's the commander, but it is a good combat unit too. It is very durable. It has some kind of a weak laser weaponry, but if you have energy, you can use its disintegrator cannon, and that's pretty much kills everything with a single shot. Everything. It just annihilates them totally. So it is a very, very good unit, and it is the core of your entire operation. If you lose it, it's game over.